Hi, my name is Lance Wilhelm, and I'm going to talk to you today about how managers perceive AI-assisted conversational training for workplace communication. Here are my fellow co-authors on this paper. We all hail from the SAIL Research Lab at Virginia Tech, directed by Dr. Eugenia Rowe. So in a recent poll conducted by Google and Harris Poll, they found that 86% of leaders believe that AI can help improve leadership. Now, AI already influences workplace communication, whether that be through email autocomplete or smart replies and message applications. However, leadership is often thought nowadays as a relational process, and therefore leadership communication is more than just polished text. It requires understanding the nuances and context of different leadership situations. Leaders often develop these skills through trial and error, and they can learn such things through attending workshops or having expert mentors that may give them guidance and feedback. But not everyone has access to such mentorship, and such trainings as workshops or conferences may be expensive and inaccessible for some. So this begs the question, can AI be used as a training tool and not just as a writing assistant? To start to explore this, we asked two questions. First, what communication challenges do managers face in their workplace context and how do they currently address them? And two, how do they conceptualize the role of AI within communication training for workplace contexts? And what expectations or concerns do they have about them? To try to understand this, we interviewed 17 leaders, managers, and supervisors from 3 different industries. First, to understand, related to the first question, we asked them about their management and training background. Then we had them interact with the functional probe which we developed, and then had them think out loud while they were using the probe, and then we asked them afterwards to reflect upon their interactions. The functional probe we developed is called ComCoach. It's a scenario-based AI role-play system where users interact and have a role-play conversation with an AI training partner, while an AI coach observes and provides real-time feedback and structured reflection opportunities. What this looked like on a broader level is that users would either start with a default scenario, such as you are a boss requesting that an employee work extra hours over the weekend, they are the only one that can do the job, and their progress has been substandard. Or they might bring their own details to a scenario editor in which they can iterate upon and then generate a scenario that they can then have a conversation with. Then users would have a conversation with their AI partner, and if the AI coach who's observing in the background deems it necessary, it may intervene, provide a little warning triangle, provide some feedback on how they can improve their conversation or improve their approach. Then users can click on different items to understand more detail what the coach is trying to provide, and then have a conversation with that coach to understand a little bit more, maybe get some examples. And then lastly, if they'd like to, they can retry a message by clicking the edit button under a message and create a whole new conversational branch, or they can retry the conversation altogether. What this looks like in our system with the default scenario is this. So I might send a message, "Hi Taylor, how's the project coming along? Do you need any help?" Taylor's responding, "I appreciate you checking in. It's been pretty tough and I'm overwhelmed. I'm not sure I can meet the deadline right now." I say, "I'm sorry to hear that, but it needs to be done before Monday. Can you work on it over the weekend?" The coach now thinks, oh, hey, maybe it's time to intervene. So the coach thinks I've shown empathy and willingness to help, which is great. However, I can improve my approach through a couple different means. So what came out of our study is that we found that users brought a lot of different diverse styles and communication modalities. But most interestingly, they brought many different communication barriers, whether that might be through balancing empathy and directness, or a discomfort with conflict, or having different emotional reactions. So we wanted to understand how they brought this user input into the system here denoted in the dotted box, and then how that goes to what the system outputs. And the system needs to then output and manage conversation length and also provide these structured reflection opportunities. First on the left, we needed to understand and balance these contexts that users bring and adapt to their history and the intent of the conversations which they're trying to have. Second on the bottom, we need to provide feedback that is specific to their roles and adapts to the timing that they would like, whether it be immediate or post hoc. And then at the top, most importantly that our users brought up, was that these partners, the AI partner, needs to possess some sort of emotional realism. Users or participants often wanted partners that were maybe more dynamic than just a cooperative partner. They often sought confrontational partners, or one participant stated a recalcitrant partner. However, this brings up some concerns about invoking training bias within the LLMs by introducing these personas. If we start to introduce demographics and emotions, we can start potentially reinforcing social biases that other research has shown starts to come out of LLMs. Now, all of this needs to be guardrailed by two things. First, we found on the bottom that users bring different organizational objectives and outcomes that come from their different organizations. So if they have a leadership framework that they like to adapt to, the system should adapt to that. And second, these clear training objectives should be grounded in these organizational outcomes and objectives. And second, on the top, some of our participants found potential ways that we could use this system not entirely automated, but maybe as a blend of a human AI automation where it works in tandem with a human. First, it might act as a supplement where the tool can assist an actual executive coach and not replace them, and help them provide more feedback or training opportunities for their trainee. And second, other users have found that this might be a nice way to work together with their team. They can sit around a table, practice conversations, and then discuss the outcomes. So we believe that AI has the potential to democratize leadership training. However, we need to balance some of those considerations which we mentioned in the previous slides. We need to understand that different users bring different contexts, and we need to balance the bias and fairness when adapting to these different users. And we also need to ensure that the system is not used to surveil users and provide performance feedback, and it instead is used as a way to improve their communication within workplace contexts. Thank you.